Are you tired of all these tech YouTubers reviewing the most expensive gaming PCs, myself included? Well, this 100% honest and unbiased review is for you guys. And I'm excited to be sharing with you everything that you need to know about this very inexpensive HP Omen 25L. In this video, I'm going to quickly zip you through the unboxing and what's included, take you through some of the most thorough benchmarks that you've ever seen, talk about the design and build quality, the internals, thermals, overall ease of use, as well as my top pros and cons. This model that I'm reviewing for you today includes the AMD Ryzen 7 5700G processor, an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 Ti GPU, and 16 gigabytes of 3200 megahertz of HyperX DDR4 RAM. But if you still have any questions after watching this entire video, just shoot me a comment, and if you're publicly subscribed, I guarantee a personal response. But first, before we get into all of that, let's jump back into the past and check out the unboxing. Oh, we got a little pull handle bag. That's a first. And then we got one last small box. The keys on the keyboard have more of a shallow key press to them, kind of like the keys on a laptop, but surprisingly, it's still pretty comfortable to type on. All right, let's check out the mouse. Nothing too special with the mouse. The clickiness and scroll wheel feel pretty standard, but because of how super light this mouse is, it honestly feels kind of cheap. And now for the main event. All right, let's go ahead and turn her on. A nice little glowing Omen logo there on the front, as well as some RGB on the fan, as well as the RAM. Design-wise, this computer looks pretty sleek and modern, externally. We've got a very fine, almost brushed line texture there on the front panel with a nicely animated RGB logo emblem right there at the top. And behind that front panel, on the left and the right sides, we've got two long and thin strips of ventilation that kind of come backwards at an angle. And then we've got some more ventilation on the top panel leading up to the ports on the front end. Here we've got a microphone jack, a microphone headphone combo jack, two USB super speed ports, and a power button. On the back, we've got another microphone jack, an audio out and audio in port. Underneath that, two more USB ports and an RJ45 Ethernet jack. And at the bottom, two super speed USB-C ports and two USB-A ports. And on our 3060 Ti graphics card, an HDMI 2.1 port and three display ports with more ventilation there at the very bottom of the case. And then jumping back to the top, we've got a security lock port. And next to that, we've got this impressive little button right here. Well, actually, it's a pretty massive button. This is the internal access button, and when pressed, it ever so gently pops out that front glass panel for easy access to all the internals. This is one of the things that I love about Omen desktops. One of the most user-friendly ways that I've seen to get into your internals. Most other cases require some sort of tool to get inside. At the top, you can see we've got plenty of space there above the motherboard, so if you're unhappy with the temps that I talk about later in this video, you've got plenty of space to mount an all-in-one liquid cooling solution if you want to. That'll bring the temperatures down quite a bit. Underneath that, you can see the current CPU air cooler that this computer comes with. This is made up of a massive heat-seek fan combo that collects the heat and then pushes it out through this front fan, where it then gets sucked out this back fan. To the right of the CPU are two sticks of HyperX 8GB DDR4 RAM for a total of 16 gigabytes. And beneath that are 512GB Western Digital SSD drive. And I'm going to reveal the actual speeds that I got with this here in a sec. Then we've got our NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 Ti GPU that is obnoxiously held to this motherboard with this massive brace right here. Pretty unneeded. I've seen massive 3090 GPUs that didn't have this. Not sure why they included this for such a tiny and lightweight GPU like this one. Lastly, at the bottom, our Cooler Master 600 watt 80 plus gold power supply. This is plenty for a computer with these specs. And then over here on the side, we've got our bay for expandable storage. Now, price-wise, this machine with this configuration will cost around $1,500. In contrast, similar inexpensive pre-builts like the iPower SlateMESH with an i7 and a 3060 goes for about $1,300. And even this CyberPower PC with an i7 and a 3060 Ti will cost you about $200 less as well. Now, the Skytech Chronos is just a little bit more than the HP Omen 25L, but for only $80 more, you get a 3070 GPU, which honestly I think is kind of worth it. If you're watching this video after October of 2022, then most likely I'll have reviews up for all of those other computers as well. But yeah, on paper, this computer does feel a little bit overpriced. But the performance to price ratio is what really matters, and we'll get to those benchmarks here in a sec. So as far as the software goes, it is a bit more advanced and user-friendly than a lot of the other pre-builts that I've tested. This section right here shows you all of the games that you have installed. Oasis Live is actually in beta right now, but essentially what it does is it allows you to have a personal streaming space where you can talk with friends while watching gameplay together. Light Studio is pretty cool as it allows you to add and arrange all your devices with RGB capabilities, create different custom layers, and apply some cool lighting effects and animations. Now, Booster is honestly kind of gimmicky to me as it didn't really seem to improve anything. Same with Cleaner. But I can imagine after owning this computer for several months that running these may help just a little bit. And the Omen desktop tab is the most important part of this app that you'll probably be using the most. In System Vitals, you can see your CPU, GPU, and memory usage. Overclocking just lets you push your RAM a little bit more. Not by a huge amount, but I'll take it. Network Booster for setting which programs or games get priority over the internet bandwidth. The lighting tab is just a more limited but also a more simple version of the Light Studio. The performance tab is what you'll probably be using the most, where you can boost your performance for gaming as well as tune your fans to cool the computer better. And for the more advanced users who want to control things even further within the BIOS, you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed as there wasn't really any advanced options there, surprisingly. Now, as far as the onboard audio, the sound card in this computer did not produce that good of sound, unfortunately. So if you need good quality sound during gaming, then I recommend using USB headphones like the ones that I have, which are the SteelSeries Arctis Pro. They sound fantastic. There's actually a little knob on the side that lets you control the volume of your own voice in gaming. Usually when you have loud gaming music and sound effects in your headphones, you're gonna feel like you have to shout in order to hear your own voice. Not the case with these bad boys. And I'll put a link below for these as well. Now, you could get wireless headphones, but I personally always notice that slight delay between what you see on screen versus what you actually hear, and it bugs the crap out of me. Plus, there's a loss of audio quality when you're using Bluetooth headphones. Now, when it came to the fan noise, I was a little surprised that this computer was no quieter than the more powerful machines that I've tested. Those computers had a lot more fans, so I expected this one to not be as loud. In quiet mode, it was hitting around 41 decibels. And when moving up to performance mode, it brought the fan noise up to about 42 decibels. And when pushing all the fans to their absolute max, we got 55 decibels. You can see compared to the Corsair Vengeance with a 3080 and Omen 25L with an i9 and 3090, it was just 1 decibel quieter in quiet and performance mode, but way quieter in full speed mode. But actually playing games at full speed fan mode wasn't really worth the few lousy extra frames per second you might get, as my test showed there to be barely any improvement on some games, and many of them no improvement at all. Now for the thermals, you can see in our thermal imaging test that we've got some pretty hot areas inside the case. A lot of heat radiating off of the CPU right there above the air cooler, and then especially around the heatsink areas on the side of the GPU. 150 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the equivalent of around 60 degrees Celsius. With a lot of that heat escaping out the top vents, and not surprisingly, even more heat exiting out the back vent due to that being the main exhaust fan. If you did have an AIO liquid cooler or fans mounted to the top, you would see a lot more heat exiting out this top vent. That would result in better thermals and health for your machine overall. See below for my recommendations if you want to improve your thermals after receiving your unit. Now, I also did some extensive testing in gaming as well. These were our CPU temps for 6 different games at 1080p. You can see that it understandably got quite a bit hotter than the more powerful machines that I've tested that had better cooling, but cooler than another computer that's in the same category performance and cost-wise. The CyberPower PC was hitting close to 90 degrees on some games. When it came to the GPU with HD gaming though, this machine by far had the hottest temperatures. None of the other pre-built that I've tested even reached the 80s, but this machine was in the mid 80s on several games. Jumping into 4K gaming though, the CPU for this Omen 25L was considerably lower than the CyberPower PC, but you'll see why that is here in a sec after I show you the performance. And when it came to the temperatures for the GPU in 4K gaming, the results were actually very similar to the others. Now this is the most important part of this review. Performance. For Geekbench 5, we got a single core score of 1482 and a multi-core score of 8602. CPU, not far behind the others on the single core, but almost half that of the others when it came to the multi-core. For Cinebench R23, which simulates its 3D rendering power, we got a multi-core score of 13,714 and a single core score of 1438. Very similar to the Geekbench results when comparing the performance to the others. And for those of you that plan to use this machine for 3D rendering, these were our V-Ray benchmark scores. You can see it's almost half that of what the more powerful i9 3090 machine got. Neck and neck with the CyberPower PC though, until we got to the overall V-Ray performance score, where you can see the CyberPower PC came in on top. This confirms the issue that many people have with the Omen 25L, holding back the CPU from its full potential. If you're going to be doing 3D rendering, hands down you should get the CyberPower PC over this one. And if you can afford it, the HP Omen 45L would be an even better option. If you use Blender, the real-time viewport GPU rendering will be slightly faster on the Omen 25L, but actual final 3D rendering with the CPU is going to be better with the CyberPower PC, as you can see here. For 3D Mark, we got an overall score of 11,188, a graphics score of 11,318, and a CPU score of 10,510. And this is how it did against all the others. I was actually pretty impressed at how well the CyberPower PC did compared to the other more powerful, more expensive machines. For the main drive, the SSD that everything is stored on, I got speeds of 2.5 gigabits read and 1.8 gigabytes write, which is actually on the slower end of solid-state drives. Gaming benchmarks are what the majority of you care the most about though. These were our average FPS results that we got for several games at their highest preset settings in HD. You can see where it stands compared to the other higher end but more expensive machines that I've tested here. The similar spec but lower priced CyberPower PC Gamer Extreme performed a good deal better than this machine. That machine beat out the 25L when testing at 1440p gaming as well, although it wasn't as drastic of a difference compared to the 1080p tests. And when pushing this machine super hard with 4K gaming, which utilizes the GPU and less of the CPU, the results were nearly identical to each other, with the CyberPower PC being just a couple frames per second faster per game. Although only Forza, Warzone, and Doom were even able to push past 60 frames per second, so I don't really recommend gaming in 4K with the others. And here's a more broad overall perspective showing the average of 9 games total that I tested for each of these machines at their highest preset settings at 3 different resolutions. This is a better representation showing the difference in performance getting smaller and smaller compared to the CyberPower PC the higher up we go in resolution. And here's a few bonus Puget benchmark tests for all the creatives out there. For Adobe Premiere we got 719, Adobe Photoshop 831, and DaVinci Resolve 1360. And this comparison chart shows that for creative professionals you're going to be happier with the CyberPower PC. And if you own a VR headset and you want to push that headset even further than just the mobile VR games and unlock the world of PC VR with even better graphics, then you'll want a PC with a high VR Mark score. This one unfortunately had the lowest that I've seen so far with a score of only 13,805, which is almost 2,000 points lower than the similar spec CyberPower PC. Pros and cons. My overall top reasons you should not get this computer. Number 1 is that CPU performance. All of my testing confirms the main problem that some people have with HP desktops, holding back the CPUs from their full potential. And number 2 is the price. Yes, $1,500 sounds like not that much money compared to the other more powerful gaming PCs that I've tested on this channel, but most of the other PCs competing in this category are $200 less than this machine. My overall top reasons to get this computer, number 1 is the design. This isn't one of those super flashy gaming desktops that some people actually find over the top and obnoxious. It's more for a casual gamer with limited space, as this is a pretty slim and compact computer that looks great on a desk with how sleek and simplistic it is. And number 2 is the fan noise. If you want a quiet machine, this is the quietest gaming desktop that I've tested so far. And lastly, number 3, upgradability. Because this machine uses modular parts, upgrading this computer and customizing it to your preferred machine is a lot easier than some of the other pre-builts that like to use proprietary parts. Overall, this machine is a decent gaming PC with a slim and light design, quiet fans, and it's easily upgradable in the future. But when it comes to the price to performance ratio, that CyberPower PC is a better buy. I'm gonna be doing a bunch more reviews here soon on more affordable gaming PCs like this one, so make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for that. Now, if you do decide to purchase this computer or one of the others that I compare it to, then please make sure to use my affiliate links in the comments and description below, as I get a small commission and no cost to you for every single purchase made. And it's a major factor in keeping this channel going and getting better and better for you. And remember, every week I do a giveaway that randomly selects someone who's interacted with this channel in some way or filled out the form in the description, so make sure to like, like, comment, and subscribe with notifications turned on to stay up to date with that, as well as staying up to date with all of my latest gaming PCs. And the winner for this week is...
Hydrox Gaming.
Thanks for watching, guys. I love you guys. God bless.